We heard the prediction that we're going to have record high oil demand next year and even more the year beyond. So as a general proposition, do you agree with that? How do you see markets and therefore prices going?
I agree with it, maybe not quite to that magnitude. I think to say we go to 105 might be a little bit aggressive. Just again, given what we're seeing in some of the developing and even undeveloped countries. So maybe going from 101 to maybe 102 and a half, 103 in the out years, still, I think will help. And, the other part that continues to be the wild card is Russian oil production. Russia continues to produce more today than it has almost in its history. And I know myself, others in the oil industry thought that obviously, given things that's going on, it would be producing significantly less. So, that's the other big wild card, I think, on the supply side.
But 101 even is a long way from here. Is that on the back purely of consumer demand, of economic growth? Because China's not coming through with that kind of growth, is it?
No, that's right. I think that's going to be, more in developed. I mean, the U.S., I think, is we hear about the sustainable fuels here in the U.S. We hear about that in Europe. I think it's just taking longer for the U.S. to sort of convert over to there. So again, if you would ask me that same thing in maybe 8 to 10 years, I think it's going to be a little bit different because I think there's going to be some other alternatives going to be much more prone. But in the near term, I really think between Europe and the U.S., you're going to just continue to have that from a lot of this industrial growth.
The price of gasoline has been exceeding the price of oil and going up quite high in the U.S. So can you explain what's happening there and what the impact would be?
Repeat that one more time, sorry.
The price of gasoline in the U.S. seems to be outpacing the price of crude.
Yes, it's on right now. We've had a very limited amount of being able to, number one, the crack spreads. Number two, what's going on with just the refineries in general. There's been more maintenance than we typically see this time of year. So just, simply supply, I say demand is not growing excessively in that area, but the demand is really held in check because there hasn't been a new refinery built in centuries here in the U.S., and there's actually more maintenance going on than typical. So it doesn't surprise me that even with sort of kind of flat to slightly up demand, you're starting to see a little bit more growth on the on the refined side, predominantly gasoline, than you are on oil.
What do you think the SPR strategy is going to be going into next year?
I mean, I don't think they have a choice. I think here in the States, Japan might be a little bit different, but I think at least here in the States, they've withdrawn so much that some of my, colleagues out there have shown. I mean, they're now bordering levels that, in any sort of natural disaster puts them in a very difficult situation. So I think their only choice is maybe not have to start to material refill it, but I think they're going to have to start to refill it to some degree. I don't know why they didn't do it a few months ago. More than that, they would have looked, much smarter when they were down in the 60s or 70s, specifically because they were selling it and withdrawing it in the the $100 region. But I don't think they're going to have a choice. I think at least by the end of this year, if not early next year, you're going to have to start at least on a moderate basis, you're going to have to start refilling that.